In the Aztec Empire, if you killed a man, you might survive it. You might be enslaved, you might be forced to compensate the victim's family, depending on the circumstances, depending on who the victim was and who you were. You might even walk away with your life intact. But if you got drunk in public, you could be executed. Not imprisoned, not fined, not publicly shamed, executed. And the records that survive from the Aztec legal system show that this was not a rare outcome. It was, for certain people in certain situations, the expected one. This is not a story about cruelty. This is a story about what a civilization decides to protect and what it decides is too dangerous to tolerate. And the answer the Aztecs gave reveals something about the relationship between social order, divine obligation, and the control of altered states of consciousness that most histories of law never discuss. To understand why drunkenness was treated as a capital offense, you have to understand what the Aztecs believed alcohol was. Pulque, the fermented drink made from the agave plant, was not simply a beverage in Aztec society. It was a sacred substance. It was associated with Mayahuel, the goddess of the agave, and with a group of divine beings called the Senson Totochten, the 400 rabbits, who were the gods of drunkenness, excess, and intoxication. Alcohol in Aztec cosmology was not a human invention. It was a divine gift, and like all divine gifts, it came with obligations attached. Ethnohistorian Inga Clendinnen, whose work on Aztec society remains one of the most detailed analyses of how the empire functioned from the inside, has written about how the Aztec relationship with pulque was governed by an intricate system of permitted and forbidden consumption. Certain rituals required alcohol. Certain festivals mandated it. Certain groups of people, the elderly, the sick, women who had just given birth, were permitted to drink freely. But for the general adult population, and especially for the warrior class and the nobility, public drunkenness was a catastrophic transgression. The reason was not moral disapproval in the way a modern society might frame it. The reason was ontological. The Aztec state was built on a cosmological foundation that required human beings to maintain a specific kind of conscious, controlled, purposeful engagement with the world. The gods had created humans to perform labor, both physical and ritual. Warfare, sacrifice, agriculture, ceremony, all of it required clarity, discipline, and the full exercise of human will. To become drunk was to surrender that will, to step outside the ordered engagement with the cosmos that made human existence meaningful and cosmically necessary. It was not a personal failing, it was a failure of cosmic function. Historian Frances Berdan, in her foundational work on Aztec society and economy, has described how the Aztec legal system distinguished carefully between categories of drunkenness. A person who drank at a permitted festival was fulfilling a ritual obligation. A person who drank privately, outside of ritual context, was committing a private transgression that might be punished with public shaming or head shaving. But a person who appeared drunk in public, in the marketplace, in the streets, in view of the community, was committing a public offense against social order. And a nobleman who appeared drunk in public was committing something closer to treason. The severity of the punishment scaled with social rank. A commoner caught drunk in public might be beaten, have their head shaved, have their house torn down. An elder caught drunk in public might be executed, because elders were held to the highest standard of behavioral example. A noble caught drunk in public would almost certainly be put to death, because the nobility existed to embody and enforce the cosmic order that made Aztec civilization function. Meanwhile, homicide was judged with considerably more nuance. Aztec law, as documented in the Florentine Codex and analyzed by legal historian Jerome Offner in his work on Aztec law and politics, included elaborate distinctions based on intent, context, social relationship, and circumstance. An accidental killing carried different consequences from a premeditated one. A killing in a moment of passion was judged differently from a calculated murder. Compensation to the victim's family was a recognized legal remedy. Drunkenness had no such nuance. It was what it appeared to be. This is the part that reveals something deeper. The Aztec legal system was not irrational. It was not random cruelty dressed up as law. It was a coherent response to the question every civilization must answer: what is the most dangerous thing a person can do? For modern Western legal systems, the answer is taking another person's life. The individual is the highest protected unit. For the Aztec state, the answer was different. The most dangerous thing a person could do was fracture the social and cosmic order, the invisible structure that held the universe together and kept the gods satisfied enough not to destroy the world. A drunk nobleman was more dangerous than a killer because he undermined the very foundation that made law, society, and cosmic continuation possible. You might find this alien. You might find it incomprehensible, but ask yourself, every legal system reflects a hierarchy of what it most fears losing. Every set of punishments tells you what a civilization believes it cannot survive without. The Aztecs could survive a murder. They had procedures for that. What they believed they could not survive was the unraveling of the ordered, purposeful, cosmically disciplined society that kept the sun rising every morning. Anthropologist David Carrasco, in his work on Aztec religion and sacrifice, has argued that the entire legal and ritual apparatus of the Aztec state was oriented toward a single goal: the maintenance of cosmic stability in a universe that was understood to be fragile, contingent, and dependent on human action to continue functioning. A drunk person in that framework was not just a nuisance. They were a crack in the foundation. You already live inside a legal system that tells you what your civilization most fears: every mandatory minimum sentence, every crime that carries the death penalty, every offense that your society treats as unforgivable. Read those laws carefully. They are not just rules. They are a map of what a civilization believes it cannot afford to lose. The Aztecs could not afford to lose order, and they wrote that belief into the harshest penalties their system could produce. The punishment was not about the drunk person. It was about the world they threatened to unmake.